us today. Hi, everyone. My name is Cara Epstein. I'm the assistant team leader at Keller Williams Peachtree Road. I want to thank you all for coming on the call today. We are super, super excited to learn from a very, very talented Rashonda Coleman, as we know her as Ro. And she's going to come on here in just a minute. I'm going to ask her to talk a little bit about herself and tell all of us about her time in the business. And then we're going to let her get straight to it because she has a lot of great content for you. So get those pens and notebooks ready. Get ready to take some fast and furious notes. And Ro, go ahead, please take it away.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Rashonda Ro Coleman, and I've had my real estate license since 2013. I like to say that last year was my first real year in the business. Once I left corporate America, I went on my own personal eat, pray, laugh journey. So I was in and out of the country a lot. And basically what I would do is I would come in the country, host a mega open house, pick up some clients from that event, work those clients, close, leave, go back out of the country, and start the process all over again. The main reasons I did that, besides the fact that I really just love to travel, is once I left corporate America, I started calling my database, and a lot of people wanted to hire me for something else. They wanted to hire me to either do some consulting work or to manage them. At one point in time, I had some artists that I managed. They're doing well, so they either wanted me to manage them. It was anything besides real estate. So I realized that, hey, I can't work with my database right now because they do not know me as a real estate agent. I have to brand myself as a realtor. And the way that I decided that I was going to do that was open houses, and also met where I really was at that point in my life, which was I had worked a lot and I just needed a break and I wanted to travel. So I would literally go somewhere. I would go to London, and on my way back to London, I'll be like, hey, y'all, stop by and see me at this location when I get back in town. Then I would leave and go to Jamaica and say, hey, y'all, I want to be back. Come by and see my Jamaican tan at this open house. So open houses have really been my thing that has branded me as an agent and really helped me have the great year that I had in 2019. I am on the ALC board here at the Perimeter office. I was a Cultural Award recipient last year. I really love open houses, and they are my party story. So that's it. And I
love it. Yes, I love that. Okay, so definitely let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the meat, right? We want to learn the secrets. We want to learn, how to take our business to the next level and basically learn from you. How do we duplicate that, right? So go ahead, lead us right on in.
Okay. And so I will tell you that everything I'm sharing, I have in a spreadsheet. So I have a basic checklist that I go through for my open houses. And if you want a copy of that checklist, you can just email me at rosodit@kw.com. In the subject line, put Hey Ro, and you will receive an automated email that has this checklist that I'm going to walk you through. For personal experience, one of the clients that I met when I was back in the country back in 2017, I met at an open house. And so far, that client has resulted in 6 transactions for me. So I'm going to walk you through my new normal for open houses, which does include a live open house as well as a virtual open house. So in a Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I actually love this quote on this page. And there's also another quote on that page by an agent named Russell Shaw. And what he talks about is to use your natural strengths and natural abilities to build your business. And so one of the things that I realized was that when I was in college for my sorority, I planned all of our parties and events. I've had an event planning business at one point in time. I do a lot from an entrepreneurship standpoint. I've done radio, I've done TV. I'm originally from Louisiana, and we really love to party. And so I combined all of this experience into my open house, and it became my real one thing that I focused on, I perfected, and I built a system around. So when I walk through this stuff, don't feel like you have to be a big agent, a big time agent. You can literally build your business doing open houses, and I'm going to just share with you what I've done. My approach is it really is an event. And from that standpoint, I use all of the 5 senses. So when someone walks into my open house, it's going to smell good. I'm going to have music playing the way that Cara had music playing. When we came in, there's going to be some food that they can eat. There's going to be something that they can touch, and it's going to look visually really well. I put my open house signs everywhere, so anybody coming into that neighborhood, anybody driving on any of the main streets that's coming through, they're going to want to know what's going on because I have signs and balloons everywhere that you can see. And I also make sure that it's the right location, the right house for my open house event. My second approach is I support local businesses. I love entrepreneurship. Anytime you talk to me, you'll hear me talking about this person does this, or I know somebody does that. I really love entrepreneurship. So I have small businesses do a pop-up at my events. That helps them promote their business. It helps them get clients, sell their products, but it also helps you with safety. So you don't have to worry about being at a house by yourself. Loan pre-approval is another big deal that's a part of my approach. I usually have a lender on site or a lender on standby, and I always use a rate plug sheet that shows that for that specific house, how much that mortgage would be and who the lender is that can call. And then finally, my approach is system. I am very high D. I do have some C. So the reason why I have to personally focus on systems is to make sure that everything I need to happen will happen, because I will show up to my open house without going through all of my steps if I didn't have a system in place. So it's kind of a forced organization for my personality type.
And Ro, I'm sure you're going to get into this. We do have our first question from Bree, and she's asking, and we can do it now or you can go over it later. How do you decide if a house is the right house to hold an open house?
So for one, I typically, especially in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of my own listings. So I would look at the price point that I was interested in. For me, since I was going in and out of the country, my price point had to be something where people were buying. So I typically did open houses, and I love Kirkwood. So I actually did a lot of Adie's open houses because he usually has a lot in Kirkwood.
Love that. And for those of you that don't know, Adie is an agent in the Rawls Group. So you can hold open houses in your market center and the Rawls Group. Ro, I love that you were working with another agent in the Rawls Group. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, typically I would do new listings or listings that had a major change. So if it had been on the market for a long time, I didn't typically hold that house open unless there was a price change or something that would signal activity, because my goal for the open house was to pick up clients right away. The other thing that I would do is I would look at not only the price point, but the areas that had movement, and I'll use that to nail down my open house. So it's mostly looking at all of our stats that we get from Chuck to look at what price points are moving and what areas are moving. And then I would literally go in FMLS and pull it up and see if any agents within the Rawls Group had a listing that I was interested in. And also, if you're not on the Rawls Group open house Facebook group, I would join that open house Facebook group as well, because agents post all the time about open houses that they need assistance with showing. But check before you say yes. Go into FMLS and figure out what's going on with that house. Okay? Great question. So again, I'm going to walk through my prep, and if for those who just joined, if you want to walk through everything with me, you can email me at rosodit@kw.com, subject line, hey Ro, and you should receive the checklist. This checklist I have on Google Drive, and if I'm somewhere and someone mentions a new website or a new app, I open it up and I just add to it. So I organized it a little bit for you all because on that checklist, you'll see that there's an item. A lot of the things that I'm going to tell you about, you need a username and password. So you can put your username and password on that spreadsheet to help keep track of everything. So the first things that I do, there's three things you need to do before you get started prepping any of this. One, you need to have 3 good photos of the house. And this can be photos that you shot using your cell phone, because some of the stuff you can do before you actually get your professional photos. Your photos from your phone, you should not use in FMLS or anywhere else, but the places that I'm going to tell you about what you can do pre-listing at, you can definitely use some photos from your phone. So the second thing that you need to do is you need to decide if you're going to do a live open house, if you're going to do an open house that's just a pre-recorded video, or if you're going to go and do a virtual live open house. I will tell you, during the COVID-19 period, I did a lot of virtual open houses, and I realized on my prep sheet that I always went live at my open houses, but I never marketed the fact that I was going to do a virtual open house. And so we have an open house coming up this Sunday, and that will be a live open house as well as a virtual open house.
Rose, can I interject really quickly with a question?
Yep.
So at this point, I think a lot of agents are asking themselves, do we do it virtually or do we do it in person and hold it open, right? So how are you deciding if a house should be done virtually or not?
Okay, that's a great question. One is the house vacant or lived in?
Okay.
I would tell you I have a personal comfort level with doing live open houses. I really love interaction and being able to see everyone. And there's procedures that I have in place with my live open houses that limits the number of people that can be in the house at the same time. I have masks, I have booties, I have gloves, although some statements say you don't really need to use gloves anymore, but I still have gloves. I have Lysol wipes. I have hand sanitizer. A lot of this stuff I actually had pre-COVID because I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. So I had a red bag of stuff anyway that I took to my open house.
Okay, you're taking precautions is what we're hearing you say.
Right. So one is the house vacant. The second, if it's not vacant, is there anyone in the house with a compromised immune system? Or is the seller just not comfortable with having people in and out of their house? If there's a compromised immune system or the seller isn't comfortable with having people in and out, then I just do a virtual open house. I don't force the conversation about, hey, we really need to have a live in-person one. So the house that we're holding open on this Sunday, someone actually does live in it, but they're okay with people coming into the open house. Does that answer your question? Perfect. And then the third thing that you need before you get started is your copy. So in all of these places that I'm going to share with you that you should be posting about your open house, you really don't want to use your MLS description. You want to use some real ad creative. If that's not your judge, I'm going to mention an app called the Hemingway app. You can go to Hemingway app, type in your copy, and it will help you break it down to a second, third grade level. So you really want your copy to be on a second or third grade level so it can hit everybody. So Hemingway app is where you can go, but you definitely, please do not, in the things that I'm about to mention about where to post, do not post copy that says this is a 2-bedroom house with 1 bath. Like, add some excitement about that property.
So make it an event is what you're saying.
Make it a party. If this is a party, you want to create an excitement. I like to party. Okay, so now I'll walk through the prep. So the copy I already mentioned, go to Hemingway app. I do create an Eventbrite event. This usually goes up at least 2 weeks in advance of when I have an idea that I'm having an open house. So on Eventbrite, it's automatically going to capture the person's name and email address. I love Eventbrite. I consider it one of my gold mines. Make sure that when you create your Eventbrite event, that you go in and change the form to capture the phone number. It will not automatically do that. So on Eventbrite, you want to make sure you have the name, email address, and phone number. And then just have everybody sign up. In Eventbrite, when you're setting that up as well, you can go ahead and create your follow-up message for people with the Zoom link for your virtual open house, if you're doing that, set it up to go out the day before the virtual open house. Don't send it to them right away, is my recommendation, because it will get lost in the email and you'll have to send it anyway. I will tell everyone, Cara, I am from Louisiana, but I talk really fast. So if at any point I need to slow down, just give me a signal.
You're all good. I'm a high D with you. So I'm going to let the agents put in the chat, or if they've got any questions, then you all can just put it in the chat and we'll address it.
Okay. All right. So then the next thing I go ahead and I create is the open house flyer. The reason why I go ahead and create an open house flyer is because I do door knocks, which I am going to talk about, and I need this information before I may have my professional photos. Social media assets, I go ahead and create that. Again, this is all with those three really good photos that you took from your phone. So in social media, I'm building Facebook ads in Command, and I'm going ahead and I'm launching that. On the Facebook ad, I am using the lead capture form. And so if you don't want to use the lead capture form, then I don't recommend doing paid Facebook ads at this particular point in time in the process. Because right now we're still 2 weeks out from when my actual open house is going to go live. The landing page that I create is also in Command. I love the Command landing page. If you're not using the Command landing pages, I strongly recommend it. The reason why I personally love it is because as people fill out that form on my Command landing page, they're automatically being added into my database. They're automatically being tagged. And one of the things that I'm strengthening is my lead follow-up. And so with Command, I'm able to go ahead and put them on smart plans right away. So if I get to follow up, the system is at least following up for me. So Command landing pages, you definitely want to do that. Also the thing with the Command landing page from a timing perspective, I don't have that go live until I have my professional photos. So if you're tracking how I'm doing everything from a timing perspective, that landing page does not go live until I have my professional photos added. If your photographer also does a video, then add that to your Command landing page as well. Then finally, on my business page, I also create a Facebook event. That Facebook event isn't created until I know for sure that my listing is going live and we are going to have an open house event that weekend. So typically my listings go live on Thursday and I have my open houses Sunday 2 to 4. That's my rhythm. That's how I do everything. And I don't like to change or delete my Facebook events. So I don't put anything up on my business page until I know that it is to go. Because I have had that time when I thought a listing was going to go live and it did not go live as scheduled.
Ro, what about 2 to 4 have you found success in?
I found that people typically love to go out after they've gone to church and they've eaten, then they go out and look at houses. So that's why I found 2 to 4 to be my sweet spot. The reason why I do Sunday versus Saturday is I usually do all of my showings on Saturday. And so my Sunday is open house day, and I may do one showing with one client, but other than that, it's me going to church. I do an open house, and then that's kind of my relaxed day.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, because when I was selling as well, the same thing, I was a Sunday 2 to 4. If you're in a neighborhood that has other open houses, right, because there are other listings and it's mainly from 1 to 3 or 3 to 5, do you deviate from your 2 to 4 or do you expand your open house time, or are you staying at 2 to 4?
I will. So typically, from an advertising perspective, I usually advertise 2 to 4. One of the things that I do when I door knock at the neighborhood is I typically have a neighbor's open house, and that's from 1:30 to 2. And so that's only advertised within the neighborhood. But if I know that there's people that's going to have traffic going from 1 to 3, then I'm going to capture that traffic and go live with them 1 to 3. I'm going to be at the house at 1 o'clock so everybody can see. Typically, I do advertise at 4 because for me, my open houses rarely end on time. And so I advertise at 4 o'clock, but I'm usually there until 5. So on the later end, I would probably still advertise at 4, but be there for people to come through.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you definitely want to go where the volume is. And one of the things, if you have a neighborhood where there are open houses, you should plan some kind of game with those agents and actually work together. Even if they're in a different brokerage, if y'all can help promote each other's houses within the neighborhood, that just helps everybody overall. So that's what I would say. I don't know what the official thing is, but
it's working, obviously. So we want to know what you're doing.
Yeah, but I'm a team player. I really believe in teamwork. So I like to work together with everybody. So yeah.
Love that.
So that's the Facebook event. So video. So creating the video, that goes into your decision point about whether or not you are going to do a pre-recorded video or actually show the house live on Facebook or Instagram. If you're doing a pre-recorded video, then you're doing that video probably the same day you're getting your professional photos taken. You're going ahead and doing the professional video that day. Now, I will tell you that I never release my pre-recorded videos until after my virtual open house. And I use my pre-recorded videos as a means to follow up with anybody who registered but didn't attend. So the example that I'm going to show you is I had 35 people registered for the event. When we went live, we had a little over 1,800 people that watched the live video. Then on my pre-recorded video, I had almost 800 people view the pre-recorded video, and I have 11 active leads out of that. So I'm going to show you the live listing, what I did, but those are the stats for it. So the sign-up sheet, at my open house, I use my command landing page as my sign-up sheet. But you know, sometimes Wi-Fi acts up or something goes out, so I always have a printed copy in case I need to have it. But I do all of that beforehand as well. And then at that point, party time is the open house. It's really just time to party, have a good time. I am the type of person who likes to show up at my open house on Sunday with everything done, and I'm just really in that mindset to have a great time and to help drive business and gain clients. Follow-up, I am going to touch on follow-up, but please, 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 if you use command landing page, you guys, it really helps you with your follow-up. If that's something that you're like me, you're strengthening that skill set, let the system help you strengthen it. And then you definitely want to pull your stats for your house about what happened. And competition actually goes to the point that Kara mentioned earlier. You want to see what happened with those houses in the neighborhood that was having an open house as well and how you compare. Any questions before I move on?
We don't have any questions in the chat, but I will say I love that you leverage technology to help you, right? Because I think we can all admit that sometimes the follow-up is the hardest part because life happens after the open house. So I love, love, love that you're using command. And I think it makes it easy for agents who haven't started using command just to use it for that to get used to it, right?
Exactly.
So Bree's asking, how would you be able to compare to the competition? Do you call, as far as like another open house, right? Do you call the agents and ask about their traffic? Or for virtual, do you check out viewing numbers, or how are you knowing what other agents are doing?
Yeah, I definitely call. So by the time I have my open house, if there's other open houses in the neighborhood, the agent and I are familiar with each other at that point. So it's literally a call. How did your open house go? How many people came through? This is what I saw on my end. And that's just valuable information for me to have and see if there's any nuggets for me to share with my seller. And then, you know, anytime you have a video, you can just go to that person's video on their page and see how many views it was. And that's what I did. So that's how I compare what they did. And, you know, I am a D, so I just go for I ask them straight out, do you have any offers that's coming? I mean, I just ask. I mean, the only thing they can do is say no, and my feelings aren't hurt if they don't answer my question. So,
well, I think that's evident, Ro, is that you create a relationship with the other agents.
I do.
That you've got that because, y'all, I think Rose showing us that like you also never know like how many people come. And so what if you didn't have a packed open house? Well, it'd be good to know if the other people didn't have a packed open house either, right? Maybe
Right.
they were packed and you weren't, but you did the same amount, if not more marketing like Ro does. Maybe it's a price issue, right? Now she's got a relationship. She can ask those agents their opinion. So kudos to you for going outside of yourself and really making this like a business play.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I don't know if Johan's on the call, but we've had conversation in just different neighborhoods. Like he's in one area of the town and I'm somewhere else. How's your open house going? How many people have come through? Like we're literally just talking to get a temperature gauge on what's happening. So
Love that.
one thing that I didn't mention with the videos is for your videos, you want to try and keep it 2 minutes for your length when you're doing a pre-recorded video. And when you're live, keep in mind a 5-minute mark. Stay on if people are still engaging with you, but if not, please don't drag it out to a 10-15-minute showing and there's nothing going on. One of the things that I did prior to COVID-19 is I would typically go live in my favorite area of the house. And I would say, hey, this is my favorite area, and I will talk about that. Sometimes if I had my nephew or my godson with me, I would say, hey, my nephew's taking over and he's going to show you the house through his eyes. And he would pick something. So you can make it fun. Make it relaxing, enjoy yourself. Make sure you pay attention to the comments when you go live. And make sure that you have pre-recorded copy that you're adding for people to see and know where to go to find out more information about the house.
That's great feedback.
All right. Okay. So putting it all together, this is how my listing looks. So I use Instagram story as well as Facebook story a lot. So not only am I posting on my main page, but I'm also posting in my stories. The day of the open house, I typically have a countdown that's going as well for the time of the open house. And if you've done a countdown, when it actually goes out, you can share it again and say, now's the time. In the middle right here, I had a new listing visual. I actually had a pre-recorded video of the house where I walked through the house, and that's what I shared out later on. So when I talk about my pre-recorded video, that's what I'm referring to. I had an Eventbrite page loaded up for it. And I also, you can see that I had the open house on social media just shared everywhere.
And I love that I'm seeing your branding everywhere, right?
Right.
You've clearly got the brokerage, and then you've also got yourself. And then I love the shirt that you're wearing in your video for your open house on social media. So I think it's really great to constantly kind of get that visual in front of them, because you're just affirming yourself as an active agent in the industry.
Right. And the real reason is because, again, my sphere of influence was not seeing me as a real estate agent. Like, I had to brand myself as a realtor and really cement it with a lot of people in my database. And so open houses and them seeing me at a house and showing this house is what really helped transition them into knowing that I can help them with their real estate need as well.
And I think you'd have a lot of agents on this call right now where you are speaking some serious truth, where they're like, people don't know that I sell, and I just found out they use somebody else. So 100% for those of you that are on this call, do what Ro is doing. Nadej says that's the issue for her too. They don't see her as an agent. So Nadej, look at this like full attack on your social media. Tiffany Keys is saying she is the same thing. So, Ro, give us a little bit more about your social media. How often are you posting? Like, what are you doing for the people that like or comment? How are you engaging? Because I think you're going to really help a lot of our agents on this call.
Okay. Yes, and I actually wanted to share that too, because you may think that based on all that I'm doing that I absolutely love social media. I don't. You guys, like my coach last year, 2019, made me put my social media pages as public. I was still private. I did not accept anybody that I did not know. So she made me accept all my friend requests. And it was like pulling teeth, like, I don't want to do this. And she's like, you have to. So because I was branding myself as a realtor, but I was really just focusing on the people that I know, that I had already accepted on social media, that already followed me. Like I could literally see a comment and say, oh, I know her from here. I know him from there. So I don't like social media. I will not post and I would not be on it if I did not have to be. So if I can brand myself on social media, anybody can. So how often do I post? My baby step goal is posting 3 times a week. That's my baby step goal.
Okay. What does that look like? What does 3 times a week look like?
So I usually post something real estate related. I'm by nature, I like to have fun. I like to sing. I like to rap. I can't do either well. But I usually have some video of me singing and rapping, the videos that people like of me, they like when I'm live or they see me. I do real estate posts just because, again, I need them to know that I'm a real estate agent. So I post things that's happening in the market or post things about trends. They don't fully like and comment on a lot of that stuff, but they see it because they later tell me about it. So still post, but don't have it very heavy. I post my fur nieces a lot. My sister has French bulldogs and everybody loves her French bulldogs. So I post them a lot, and I go live a lot on my story. And so that's really how I've been able to build engagement. So don't forget about your stories, you guys. Post something on your page, but most of the time people will see your stories more than they see your page based on the algorithms that Facebook has set. So you can really help yourself get through the clutter on Facebook. And then I have someone that is actually a new agent, and her name's Anjali, and she's totally awesome sauce on social media. So I really follow a lot of stuff that she tells her and this other guy named Marcus. They get on me about my social media and say, hey, you post this.
And then I hope you're hearing that stories might be a really, really great way for you to start, because she's saying that she doesn't like social media either. So you're giving some hope, Ro, to some of our agents that really haven't yet embraced it. Nadej is asking, how do you get over getting in front of the camera to record a video? Like, let's be real, right? Are you recording it 10 times? Are you just like, I'm going to give myself once and that's it? How did you get comfortable?
Okay, I was going to say that I'm probably the wrong person to answer that question because I am like a record once and post and keep it going type person. I don't go in and filter. I don't go in and edit. It's like whatever happens, happens. Like I literally have in my old open house presentation, like the first time I did this for my office, I showed them a video where I was interviewing the company that was going to be doing the pop-up shop, and we totally made a blooper. I cracked up laughing. They started laughing. And it wasn't like a bad, like we practiced like, hey, I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to turn it over to you and you talk about your business. So I introduced them. I turned it over to them. They didn't say anything. And so you saw my smile go from, and I just started laughing.
You're like, think quick, think quick.
So I'm the wrong person. I literally do not spend any time editing anything. I take my picture, I post, and I go. That's not one of the things that I had a fear with. It's just that I'm naturally a private person. So I just naturally don't want everybody knowing what I'm doing. So that was my thing with social media. But don't be perfect. People like the authentic you.
Yeah.
Foreign coming out. Be the authentic you.
Listen, Ro, what I got from that is don't overthink it.
Don't.
Be yourself, and the people will love you for it.
Yes. I can tell you that a lot of my family and friends tell me to stop singing and rapping and posting. But it brings me joy.
Well, there you go. It makes the party.
Yes. So please don't overthink it. Please just do it. Start out small. We get a lot of great stats from the office. You can go into Command and just pull a social media graphic. Like you don't have to do any work. It's going to already be branded for you.
Love it.
Go for it. So,
Love
and
it.
thanks, Cara, because I am not looking at the chat that well. So.
I got you, girl. Trust me. And I mean, you're getting a lot of great comments. And I don't want to butcher your name. I think it's Anjali says that people will always lean towards authentic versus something rehearsed. And I'll tell you, our team leader for Peachtree Road is on the call, Dory Hicks, and she is really great about going live, right? And it's just the most authentic version of it. And so people are more engaged because they want to hear what you have to say. And I'll tell you, Ro, I've been like you, where I'm like, oh, please don't go live. Please don't go live. And she takes us out of our comfort zone, and it works because people want to connect with you. Dory, I know you're on the call. I know you got something to say about that.
She's smiling really big. I see her.
Yeah. I'm going to unmute her.
She is talking, but.
Yeah, I know, right? We're trying to unmute her and it's not playing along, but we want to hear what she has to say. So, and I don't want to take away because I know we're almost at 110 already. So, but I love that y'all are engaging. So please, please go ahead.
Okay. The other thing that I will talk about on this slide before I go to the next one is smart plans. So I mentioned smart plans. In Command, there's a monthly nurture smart plan for your neighborhood. So I usually, anybody who comes through for on my landing form for that specific house, like so for Wyndham, I set them on a neighborhood nurture for properties around that address. And then after the open house, anybody that comes through, I set them up on the open house smart plan. And
Okay.
that's what.
Yeah, no, I love that. I wanted to kind of give that timeline of how you do it. So correct me if I'm wrong. You use the landing page at the open house to capture their information,
Correct.
which then puts them in your database.
Correct.
And you can go back into the database. It'll have the information about when you captured it. You're going to put those people on a neighborhood nurture. And then they will later go into a touch or a drip campaign that you create in smart plans, like targeted for open house people.
Correct. So, so everybody that's tagged already in my database for open house, the one that we're having on Sunday, they'll get a communication about that open house. Just so that they know they've been to an open house before, they know what the experience is. So they'll come through, tell some friends, share it.
I love that. And Bree is actually asking, so you do short virtual videos. Are you showing the full house or not? She's guessing that you're not showing the full house if the video is really short.
I'm showing the full house when I go live. So when I go live on Instagram and Facebook, that's when I'm showing the full house.
Okay.
If people aren't engaging, that's where that 5-minute mark came in at.
Gotcha.
So if people, I show the full house when I go live. And that's something new as a result of COVID-19. Prior, I didn't. I did do a short video of the areas of the house that I absolutely love.
Okay.
But at this point, I realized that a lot of people in my friends group, they like seeing the entire house. And so now I'm just walking through the entire house.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. And if you don't have time to show the whole thing, at least you're enticing them to ask about it, and then you can ask more clarifying questions to find out if they're looking to buy or sell.
Right. And the other reason that you really want to go live and show the entire house is because when you're finished, you can go back and look at the comments and see what areas of the house people really loved, what they had questions about. So when you're doing your follow-up marketing, you know what to pull out.
Super smart. That is super smart. I hope you guys wrote that down. So now what are we looking at here under prospect and market?
Okay, so the other big piece of what I do is I post my open houses everywhere. And so these are all the different places that I posted at. We all know that there's always room for opportunity. So I take this as a way to increase my the number of views that I have and the number of people that register. You have your traditional places like FMLS, Zillow, Realtor.com that will post the open house. If your listing is over $400,000, then you would want to consider posting in James Edition. DuPont Registry is for luxury listings. You see the little Facebook Marketplace icon. I also place my listing in Facebook Marketplace, Facebook group. If so that listing was in Decatur. I place my open house listing in every group that I can find on Facebook related to Decatur. I share it on Instagram. I do a YouTube video. Oodle is a Craigslist type site, a classified type site. So that's where Oodle comes in. So all of these are just different places where I market my open house and my listings. And of course, my open house sign, I have 100 open house signs. And so I literally drive the neighborhood and put it anywhere within the neighborhood. And I also drive all the paths leading to the house and put signs on every major corner and intersection. So putting it all together, this is what my Facebook ads look like on the left and right hand side. So this particular house, you'll see it has nothing dealing with how many bedrooms it is. I did do a twilight shoot on this house because it was an expired listing. And so I really needed to rebrand the way it looked and create some excitement about it. And then you see the open house flyer. So this went live literally the week on that 15th date. I will never forget because that's when Governor Kemp said we are going full time into shelter in place. You see that I did have Yolanda. She's a business owner, so she was my pop-up business. So from a virtual perspective, I'm sure you have to wonder why that is. I was still able to do a pop-up business. So the reason why we went live on Instagram is because on Instagram you can easily go live with 2 people. And so this is a large house, 3 levels. So basically what would happen, I kicked it off and I showed everybody the first level of the house, and then I pitched it to Yolanda and she talked about her jewelry business. And so while she was talking about her jewelry business, I was on mute going up the stairs and getting ready to go for the top level of the house. Once she finished, she kicked it back to me. I showed them the top level, same thing. I finished, put on mute, went down to the basement and showed them the outside. And so we were able to connect not only with my audience, but her audience as well. And we had a great time. She sold jewelry and I actually did sell a house.
Love that.
Roll knocks. So I mentioned this already. One of the areas that I do door knocking is the neighbors. You definitely want to do the five to the left and right, 10 across the street. One of the smart things that I've learned is I used to door knock the entire neighborhood. Now I literally go into Georgia MLS and find out what doors I should knock on. So if someone lives on the totally other side of the subdivision and they just purchased, I typically will not knock on that door. I just knock on doors of people who would be looking to sell. If it's owner, absentee owner, depending on the neighborhood, I may or may not knock on that door as well. Anybody that I talk to, I send them a thank you note and I add them to command. The great thing about door knocking a neighborhood is you do not need to write down anybody's number. You do not need to, or name, because you have the address, so you can just go back to the tax records and pull up their names. I also mentioned to them that we're having a neighbors open house. Mine are usually 30 minutes to an hour before my official start time of 2 o'clock. Again, it just depends on that neighborhood, whether or not I want to do a 30-minute one or an hour one beforehand. And I tell them like, hey, I'm sure you're curious to see what this house looks like. Please feel free to come by, because now the neighbors and looky-loos, like they want to come in, they just feel bad because they live in the neighborhood. So I just like to invite them and take away that hesitation that they have. And plus, they can be a seller for me in the future. So I want them to come to my open house. And then I mentioned the businesses. So the other thing that I do besides having a pop-up shop is I go around to all the local businesses that's near that house, and I talk to the manager and I invite them to my open house. I request information on their business so I can share with everybody that's coming what local businesses are around. I ask them if I can leave a flyer. This goes back to me saying I create my flyers in advance. This is one of the reasons why, is because all of these places. And I add them into Kelly as an insight as well. Can you tell that I love command? I really do.
Yes, and we love that because we know it makes your business better. I wish everyone knew that.
It makes my business. I love command and I love entrepreneurship. So those are the row knocks that I do.
Okay.
I wanted to share with you on the left, what you're seeing is how I do a virtual row knock. So of course, while we were on shelter in place, I wasn't doing door knocking. I still had listings. I still had virtual open houses that had to happen. So I developed a campaign for the neighbors to do my virtual row knocks, if you will. And if you want to take a picture of this, this is basically how I set it up for this house. I did a 20 miles radius, and those are the targets that I did. This particular house was Pinewood Studios, I want to say. It was near Pinewood Studios. So it's by a studio. So anybody in that acting entertainment field, I wanted to make sure I capture as well.
All right.
The middle video is I always use a local eatery to provide my food for the day. So this particular one was Sugar Mill. They're the ones who are providing the desserts. And then the last one is a picture from the neighbor's open house.
Love it. I love it. So I want to be cognizant of your time, Ro. We've got about 10 minutes left because I know that you do have an appointment after this, and we have a few questions as well. So I want you to go ahead, if you don't mind, please finish, and then we've got maybe 4 or 5 questions to come your way.
Okay, great. So now I've everything that I walked y'all through is my prep and my marketing. So let me really focus in for y'all what I do on the day of the open house. Some of this stuff we may have touched already with the questions and comments, but I just wanted to give you a nice, easy snapshot that you can see what I do on the day of my open house. I already mentioned I do my story countdown. I have the open house kit. That's my red bag that I mentioned, where I do have a candle, I have my speakers, I have my Lysol, I have all that stuff. When I go live on my business page and not my personal page. I go live on my business page. I always shoot vertical, and I mention the address several times because people come in and out of your video at different times. So I want to make sure that they know where I'm at. As I mentioned, I post my professional video later, and I use the comments from my live to help tailor what my caption would be. I email the video to the attendees. I message everyone who signed up but didn't attend. I send them that professional video out. And so that's what all I am doing. And I mentioned to y'all already that I set everyone up on an open house smart plan and command. So some quick tips is, please, I love technology, but sometimes there are glitches. So make sure your open house posted on all the relevant sites. Also go to georgiaopenhouses.com and make sure that your listing and everything is posted there. The reason why I go live on my business page is because I later share it on my personal page. And you can also create a watch party on your personal page with that past video. With your listings, don't forget about reverse prospecting. I do reverse prospecting on day 1 of my listing going live. And I actually not only do those agents get an email, but I actually call them as well. People, sometimes we forget to share our open houses with our database. Just because they're in your database, that does not mean that they don't want to know about your open house. So share with that. I always have my sellers share as well as the businesses that's doing the pop-up. If you're not a part of the Ross Group Open House Facebook group, join that group. You can post and say, hey, I want to hold an open house. If you know some specifics about what you're looking for, then you can also post it there. And don't forget to follow up. I hope everyone enjoyed the party time. What questions do you have? Again, if you're joining and you want to get my system, you can email me at rosoldit@kw.com. In the subject line, type in, hey, Ro. If you want the tips on how I do things in command, you can also email me at rosoldit@kw.com. And in the subject line, type in help Ro. So that's it. I know we have questions. What do you have?
Yes, let's get to it. And in the chat, I've got Ro's email and I've got the subject, hey Ro, etc. So you can always go in there and just copy paste. All right, so let's go back to, let's see here. Raul is asking, so on the page where you post everything, right? The Facebook groups, Craigslist, Oodle, etc. Do most of those places allow you to post for free?
Oh, yes. All those places you can post for free, except for James Edition you pay and DuPont you pay.
Okay, are those like monthly or annual memberships to have those?
Yes, if you and also it's based on your price point. So you can do like a one-time marketing advertisement for your listing, or just do a membership. But all of those are free places. They're all in the document. Then they all require a username and password.
Okay, perfect. Now, I know you mentioned that you do directionals. Bree, you've got some great questions today. I love it. So how do you lead capture from your directionals? Can you lead capture from your directionals?
In the past, I haven't. So I actually am going to be testing a new directional. So I've created a virtual open house directional.
Oh.
And so I'll know later on, but so far, no, I don't know. I will tell you that my open houses typically have at least 25 people come through. Like and that was the other thing about when I was going live, like literally, if you've been a friend for a while, you'll see me go live trying to show the house, and I'm like, oh, somebody else coming. I'll come back, you guys. And what COVID really helped me with was, Rashonda just set another time to do virtual, either I wouldn't go live at the beginning of my open house because I want people to come in, but go live at the end of your open house and show everybody. Like, you were complicating it. Like,
Love that.
simple, so.
I will say too, on the lead capture, if you're using a sign-in sheet that's like pen and paper, one of your questions can be, how did you hear about the open house? And you can always give them options, right? And it can be online, signs, et cetera, et cetera. You can always give options to see or other, and they can fill that out. And the same thing, it's a great question that you can ask on a virtual open house is, how did you hear about it? Go ahead and type in the comments how you heard about today's open house so that I can better serve you in the future. So you can find ways to capture it, but Ro, I think you're on the money here. It's something that we work to and strive for as agents to figure out. Ansley is asking, when you have directionals and signage, right, do you ask the neighbors about placing signage in their yard or around the neighborhood? How are you placing that? I know the answer to this one. So that face.
I know you saw me. No, I don't ask.
Have a spot, place sign. Is that how that goes?
Yes. And in all honesty, to really tie in both questions, a lot of the things that's on my checklist, I heard from different places. So I heard an agent at Family Reunion on the panel, and they were talking about open houses. And he was like, I purchased 100 directional signs and I put it everywhere. And I know that some I'm going to lose, but the major thing that I'm doing is branding. And I am literally, okay, 100, I went out, I purchased 100 signs and I put it everywhere. But no, I honestly I've never really asked anybody. I do know that in certain places that I can't place signs at certain times just based on what my knowledge is. And so at that point, I'll put my open house signs out on Sunday. But anywhere else, Friday. I go out Friday and it stays through the weekend. It's a game with my sellers. I didn't mention that. I usually leave some extra signs at the house. So if they notice that I either missed the spot or my sign is gone, they will literally take the sign and go put it back out for me. So.
Oh, no work. I like it. And for those of you that are wondering, kind of a good, time to think about is Friday after 5 p.m. And that's just because a lot of counties and cities have sort of hard and fast rules that nothing can go up before Friday at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Sidebar, are you putting balloons or are you putting like the windmills or are you putting anything on your signs?
I use the balloons. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. Good old fashioned works every time balloon.
Yeah.
Okay. Jasmine's asking, from a new agent perspective, would you take these steps, right? Because there's a lot of steps here for another agent's listing that you may just be hosting an open house for, or are these simply for your open houses, for your listings?
Now, my system was built on other people's open houses. So I 1000% would take these steps for another agent's open house, because the key is, one, branding yourself and you getting clients. And so you don't want to go to an open house at all and not have anybody come through. And for me, to tell you the truth, being able to build that off of other agents and understanding, by the time I had my own listings, it was like clockwork for me. Like, oh, I know to do this, I know to do that. So I went and shortcut it. I would definitely do all of these steps for any open house that you're doing.
I love that. And Ro, would you agree that when agents seeing you hold a high level, a level 5 or level 6 open house, they're more inclined to come to you with their listings for open houses?
1000%. 1000. And I will tell you that even an agent in my office, she followed these steps, held it for an agent in another open house, and she holds all of her open houses. She's the first person that she gets called. For the people that I've held open houses for, I get a text. Hey, do you want to hold my house open? At this point, I have my listings, so I do a lot of them on myself. But if I want to pick up the phone and call, like, oh, I like your listing, they do. I mean, I provide the feedback to the agent. I let them know what's happening. I usually send the agent, when I was holding somebody else's house open, I'll send them a video of the setup, like, hey, we're ready. So excellence at all times, no matter whose listing it is.
And I'm sure it makes it easier for you to pick and choose, right? I like this price point. This one's got 45 days on market, no price reduction. It's okay for me to say no because I know that there are other agents that I could go host an open house for, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Nadej is saying she really liked when you said what COVID really helped me with, right? So you're taking a situation like a pandemic, which can be seen as really negative, and you're making it really positive. And I know that we're all really appreciative that you're seeing the upside, you're seeing the party and what some might see as a job.
Right.
And your approach to this is really refreshing.
Yeah, I will tell you, my seller called freaking out because she knew I was planning a big open house. And this was an expired listing. And I said, don't worry. I said, we're pivoting. We're going to do a virtual party. And she said, you really are? I said, yeah, we're still partying. And we're going to do it. We're still, Yolanda is still on board. We're still having a pop-up business. So everything that I said, we're going to have happen. And we did. And so she's been super excited. I'm actually sharing more of that story at 2:00 in the Vogue Facebook group for everybody that was in Vogue May class. So that's why I have the hard stop.
That is awesome. Okay. And then just want you to know that Jasmine says, yes, thank you for answering my question and thank you for your time. This was very helpful and full of great information. Tiffany Key says, I love this open house party mindset. And I think we'd all agree that we would absolutely love to come to one of your parties.
We like to party. We're partying on Sunday in Austell.
Oh, good. That's a good plug.
I know, right?
I don't really like open houses, but this gave me a new perspective. And Ansley's asking, Ro, do you mind if a new agent comes and shadows this Sunday at your party in Austell?
That's fine. You will be the third agent there. So we actually have a new agent in our office, Anjali, and she's going to be there as well. She's going to be walking through all of these steps, but you can definitely come through on Sunday. The listing isn't live yet. It will be live later on, actually today. And yes, come through. It's going to be a party. We're going to have a good time.
Ro, congratulations on all your success. And what I would just suggest is for all of you that are interested in shadowing or attending one of Ro's parties, when you email her for that checklist, put a note in there as well, because we want to make sure that we respect her time at her open house. And we want to make sure we respect her business as well. So that way you don't have 15 agents at your open house unless you want us there. But go ahead and, ask. Say, hey, Ro, what you got coming down the pike? What's happening in a week, 2 weeks? Patrice, great tips, Ro. I wish I was in Georgia. I would be there. Nadej, you're a rock star. Keep that spirit. It's contagious. And Ro, seriously, keep doing you because it is clearly working. And thank you for pouring into all of us.
No problem. Thank y'all so much. I enjoyed it. Go out, have parties, try, do it, and just embrace your natural abilities.
Love
whatever it is, whether it's an open house, whatever it is, embrace it and go with it.
I love it. Thank you, Ro. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to have a lot of more content coming your way. So make sure you check out the intranet if you're at Peachtree Road, and also our Facebook group. And we will talk to you all soon. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.